Hey class, so sorry about the technical issues, completely avoidable. And so I apologize for not getting in to the class on time. It was uh, the nut behind the keyboard. It was the problem. Anywho, I wanted to record this lecture for you. I think it's something that I wanted to cover today, so I was really excited about it, but you'll still get it, and then you'll have your first assignment to actually create some content for your project. And I want you to do that this weekend. I'm going to also add a little bit to, especially for John Hope Franklin, since there's not a whole lot that we have out there now. I'm actually talking to their representative later today, so I'll add more about John Hope Franklin if I get like some of their objectives and things like that. So let's first talk about the captions, your assignment for today, and let's look at some of the captions that you came up with, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how I work with captions and how other people do with copywriting, because I think copywriting is just so important when we're talking about communicating with our target audience, with our messaging. And you guys did a great job, and I'm probably going to use a couple of these, particularly for E36 Street North and for OSU SMSC. And yeah, I might even send a couple to John Hope Franklin, right? So you guys did a really good job of coming up with some great captions. And that's really one of the hardest parts of our job when we're creating content and posting to different social networks, particularly places where people want to read copy, right? So we talked a little bit about long form and short form text when we on Tuesday. So typically our copy for social posts are short form or micro text, right? So one paragraph, maybe one or two sentences. For Instagram, even Twitter, of course, we have to keep it within 280 characters unless we're doing a thread, right? So what I want to make sure is if we use your caption on one of the networks, that we have your Instagram account to tag you if you'd like to be tagged. If you don't want to be tagged, it's okay. So I'm actually going to leave an assignment up. It won't be worth anything, but I want to make sure if we use your caption or if we use your content, that we give you credit. And that's really important for all of social media. If you're using somebody's stuff, you want to give them credit. If you don't need credit or don't want your Instagram tagged, we won't do that. But we'll just say you're a student, but I want to make sure to offer that to you if in fact we use it, because right now I'm looking at your posts for E36 Street North, and I'm using some of those. So, and also because I want you all to see, to be able to track how well your captions do, right? So, and then I'll also send over to OSU and SMSC to make sure we can use some of those, right? So, all right. Yeah, I think that's a really good deal. So I will do that. So you'll be able to add your Instagram handle to an assignment area. It won't have any points to it, but I want to make sure you're getting credit. So like Danielle said, we do a lot of captions. Danielle lives in another state, so we do a lot of work in, sometimes I'll show her the images that I plan to use, very similar to your discussion assignment this week. Sometimes I'll give her, like on Tailwind, I'll show her the drafts and say, hey, here are the photos that I'm going to post for the marathon or for Oktoberfest or for whatever client that we're working for. And then she will write captions. I'll show you one of the documents that we use for just general captioning. If we don't have a photo, we create a Google Doc. And in that Google Doc, let's see if I can reach it. So we have categories. Remember, like on Tailwind, you can create categories like motivation, promotion, connection. And so we do that as well with the Marathon client and with all of our clients. We want certain captions to do certain things. So this was our captions for 2021. And if I use the caption, it's usually highlighted in yellow. You can see that the green I either decided not to use, and if it's red, I absolutely was not going to use it. But you can look to see we did inspire, educate, connect, relate, promote. And these are the types of captions that I wanted in each of those sections, right? So for inspiration or inspire, I wanted motivational quotes. Danielle is a runner, so she completely understands what it takes to motivate yourself to just get out the door, or motivate yourself to sign up, or to get those miles in while you're training. Educate, I wanted it to be something about the event that people need to know, like what is a double? How does the relay work? What's the deal with the detour on the course? Because it's a fun thing that happens in that event that doesn't happen in others. Connect, so I wanted to connect with the running community, different run clubs, highlight the team of directors, relate, any kind of training tips, messages from our ambassadors or influencers, we call them ambassadors, and then photos from actual people who participate in the event. Promoting, that's of course when we were talking about buy my stuff, right? Price increases, specials that we're running, promo codes if there are any, and so things like that that would encourage people to register today, right? So not everything has to be buy now, buy now, buy now. You want to build that trust with your audience and connection with them so that they're connecting with you, and not just only when you want to buy or only when you want to sell something that you're communicating with them. Yeah. So you can see here some of the inspirational quotes that we found and that we actually used, and then we tied into the event, or we tied into our client. So a quote from someone and then relate it to our audience. The educate, things that we need to know about, people need to know about the event, and then connect. We talk about Tulsa, we promote Tulsa a lot. So when you're planning your strategy, however you want people to see your posts, right? If your persona is all about community or sustainability, you want to focus your content that would speak to them, and then you can talk about yourself or the project that you're working on, or what you see, what you're going to see in the photo. And it doesn't have to always be serious. It can be fun stuff and different things. In fact, we also focus on like those national days, the national holiday. This week was International Women's Day. So we typically would do a post about that. I'm kind of taking a hiatus, so we're not working with them this month. So we didn't do one of those. Several of my friends did a bunch of National Women's Day posts and then tagged me in them, which I thought was really great. But like we do National Beer Day, because beer and running are two things that go really well together. We have a beer sponsor, so we can always tag them. National Walking Day, because some of our events are conducive to walking and not just running. National High Five Day. These kinds of things will also help you when you're creating content. So let's say you're going out to shoot your piece of content for SMSC. And April 15th, April 15th is National High Five Day. So what you might want to do is get your friends together, or if you see somebody in front of the building, they're like, hey, can you guys high five? I want to take a photo of you. And that's something you can then schedule to have posted on April 15th. Yeah. So when you're creating your calendars, you can utilize those national days as a way to plan your content in advance. Yeah. Okay. And then I have some things where we talk about Tulsa stories. If I find an article specifically about Tulsa, because of course we want to encourage people to come to Tulsa, any news about why Tulsa is great, we want to have that as well. So then you can see we do some Throwback Thursday stuff. And typically when we do it this way, I'll just copy and paste it into either Tailwind or Facebook Creator, which is what I use mostly now for Instagram and Facebook, just because it's gotten so much better. Yeah. So you can see some of the captions. I missed National Foam Roller Day. We actually had a bunch of great foam roller photos from our expo a few years ago, and last year I missed it. So if I'm back by May, I'll make sure we get that one in. But again, when you're planning your content or your calendars, add some of those national days in, and you can Google National Day calendar, or on Facebook you can see the national days or the kind of trending holidays when you're logged into your Facebook account, not your personal Facebook account, but in your business account, you can see some of those days, right? All right, and we can talk about those as we move forward when we start to plan our calendars. So I will move on. Another thing that we do before I move is Danielle also helps with our captions for Oktoberfest. And she joined us in 2019. She actually came and she stayed in our mobile office, and we sent in photos. It's kind of my job. So she and I were on different schedules, but I stay and watch what the conversations are and do more social listening. And then as people are out creating content and taking pictures, they will send them in to me. And then I will write the caption, or Danielle will write the caption. So we didn't have her for 2021, but oh no, we did do a scavenger hunt in 2019, but she was there for it. The 2021, she wasn't there, but we still did what we call a captions scavenger hunt. So we write out the captions in advance because we know the event, we know what we're looking for, we know what our goals are. So remember, for Oktoberfest, our goals were to promote family-friendly, authentic Bavarian festival, food, for all of the things that are available to people when they come. We want people to be able to see themselves at the festival. Of course, we wanted to promote sponsors and all of the German beer and different varieties and all the musicians and all that good stuff too. So we created in advance some captions, and we called it a scavenger hunt, because then I could give that to my team and then break it up and say, hey, go find the photo or take the photo that matches this caption. And it works out really well. We did it this year with the marathon as well. And I'll probably do this now forever when we have big events and then we have multiple teams out creating content. Yeah. So you can do this too by saying, okay, we've got some national days coming up. We want to create, we want to get photos of people doing high fives. We want, for Valentine's Day, we want pictures of couples. So you can write in advance those captions and then go find the photo that matches the captions. It's always fun to do it that way. I'm typically take the photo, write the caption right there. So, and sometimes your brain just is not connected to what you want to say. And that becomes really those short captions that say, hey, good food, great time, join us. And those are fine too, but you want to mix it in with more content that will help people find your post, that will connect with people, or that will promote the thing that you want to promote. So sometimes really short, snappy captions work. Other times you want to have more copy in those captions, because also your captions will be searchable in Google and on whatever platform that you're using. So if you start to utilize some words, or you want people to find food truck near me, and you don't use your food truck or the verbiage quite often, even the hashtags as well, you won't be found in people's search. So you want to have a mixture of just kind of short, snappy captions and longer captions. That leads me to, how do you write good captions? Because most of you are learning AP style and media and communication style writing, and that's great. But for social, remember, we've got to find our tone, we've got to find our voice, and then we have to stay within the parameters of the platform, right? Long form, short form. A lot of your captions for the photos in our assignment were really short and had hashtags that would tell the rest of the story. So that's not necessarily AP style. So you want to make sure you have a mixture of, what is legible, what people can read. I like to write in conversation style. I'm actually taking a writing challenge right now from Sam Parr, who is the creator of a website / email subscription called The Hustle. The Hustle is a daily newsletter. I think he has, I don't know, over there's several million, 1.5 million readers of The Hustle, and you can sign up. It's free. I put the link in our module, but it is an amazing lesson in writing copy that will get people to open your emails, that will get people to look at your Instagram posts, or actually read your Instagram posts or your Facebook posts or your Twitter posts. Sam is a brilliant copywriter, and it's always fun and short, and just something that you absolutely want to read. I had to unsubscribe to the daily newsletter because it was so much, but I absolutely love the writing style. My client loves, I have a medical client, and he loves that writing style because his goal is to make these kind of medical terms something that people can understand, like the average person can understand, and not always speaking in doctor speak or medical speak or in the big words. So I would highly suggest that you sign up for The Hustle just to get an idea of how to write good copy, and particularly good copy emails. There's also some really great information. They always update on technology and entertainment, or whatever it is that you're interested in, you can sign up for. The class that I'm taking is, that's not it. It is how to write irresistible copy. And I did put this in our modules. It's a little expensive for a college student, but I'm on day 3 of the challenge. And really what he has you do in the beginning is you read good copy, and then you write it, right? You copy he tells you why this particular copy or text or captioning is great, and then you physically rewrite it so that you're absorbing it and learning how to write in that style. But it's very conversational, really great. So I'm loving it. But it always helps, because writer's block is a thing, right? It is a real thing. I wrote the book that we're supposed to be using for this class. I'm trying to go back and edit that book in a style that's more like how I talk and not so much technical and the way that I think people would want to actually respond to it when they're reading it. Yeah. So stay tuned, stay tuned for that. I think it is in the class and in the syllabus, but I really want it to be more of how I talk and how I think people will read. The first assignment was somebody's website, and it was like a landing page on their website for an event they were having. And the copy was just so personal, and you could tell that person wrote the copy and it was relatable. And I think it was maybe on a second or third grade reading level, but you understood it. It was to the point. It told you how to sign up for it and how, what you were doing and how it supported the artist and all that good stuff. So it was really great. So if you know people who are really interested in copywriting, I highly recommend this style. But let me see if I can find the scavenger hunt for you that we did for Oktoberfest. Okay, here we are. This is it. Okay, so here is the Oktoberfest captions scavenger hunt. And you'll see like the first one, the best view of Oktoberfest and the Tulsa skyline can be had if you're willing to reach a little higher for it. Hop on the Ferris wheel and check out the sights on this beautiful autumn evening. And let me see if I can find that. Where we use that caption. But we were, absolutely looking for Ferris wheel graphics or photos. So whoever is out along the Oktoberfest, we did a lot of Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel was our kind of theme this year. Whoever was out taking pictures, whether it was a photographer or somebody from our social media team, they would be looking for these particular images to match those captions, right? When we say Oktoberfest Tulsa is family friendly, we mean it. Bring the kiddos down to the Kinderplatz and they'll be entertained for hours with crafts, games, and more. So we had a lot of kid-friendly captions. Here's one where we talked about wearing Trockton, want to look the part. Some of these were before the actual event, and some of these were during the event. So you can see this takes quite a bit of time ahead of time, but it saves you so much in the end, right? So when you're out doing something in real time, you're able to focus on that and not necessarily what you want to say about it, or making sure that you are matching the client's goals. So the client is giving you, here's what our goal is. We want to talk about focus on these things. Writing your captions in advance really helps you stay focused, so you don't forget to highlight a sponsor, to highlight the things that are important to your client or for your own brand, right? So writing that stuff out. So you can see we had tons and tons of captions. We mentioned entertainers. So by the tents that are set up, we wanted to make sure. And then in other places, like we have a spreadsheet that has all of the bands and their social handles, so that we can go to that sheet and tag people and mention them if they are on Instagram or Twitter or whatever website, right, or social network. All right. So that is my copywriting secret. I will write copy myself. You can see on East 36th Street North, it's usually quite short. Sometimes I'll write more, especially when we had to cancel because of the weather. I wanted to give a reason why we had to cancel. One wasn't just because it was cold, even though that was probably part of why the truck canceled. But when they told me it was supposed to rain and it might damage their generator, I wanted to make sure that I passed that information along so people weren't going, oh, well, you don't want to be out there because it's cold. So I wanted to make sure that it was clear that it wasn't just because it was cold, it was because the weather could damage the equipment that people were bringing out. So you'll see that in some other places. So let's talk about, I don't think we have talked about your Instagram page layout. So let's do that really quickly before we move on. For Instagram, you absolutely want to have your handle and your what your name on Instagram is. It should be, I prefer my social handles be the same throughout. SM Tulsa is SM Tulsa everywhere. Social Media Tulsa is Social Media Tulsa everywhere it can be. It's too long for Twitter. So that's why we started using SM Tulsa. Tulsa Oktoberfest, we try to be Tulsa Oktoberfest everywhere for Route 66 Marathon, Route 66 Marathon everywhere. Even if you don't plan on being on a particular social network, if, let's say your client isn't ready for Snapchat or not ready for TikTok or not quite ready to start producing video for YouTube, highly suggest that you go in and claim the name on those new platforms or on those alternative platforms, just so that that nobody else is kind of squatting them, that you have to then go and try to beg them for it, or then you have to come up with a different name. So you want to have your handle, your @name. You want to have a brief description or your bio. You can put hashtags in your bio. And then, of course, you want to have your website. These are pretty bad. We'll come up with a more standardized Instagram highlights graphics. I think I just put those there because we didn't have others. You can see the last post I did for them was something for one of their sponsors. And this is actually our final post from our project from the event. And then we came in and did another one. But you want to make sure that you have at least what this is about and how people can go to your website. Creating the highlights. And you can see some of the bigger brands, some of your favorite brands will really put a lot of emphasis in this section where they're highlighting different parts of their brand or user-generated content. What I like to use this section for, particularly if I'm working with a client, is to highlight what we did, right? To highlight the stories either from what we posted or from what other people posted about us and we reshared. Because if you're planning the event, or usually if you're the client, you're not taking time to watch the social media in real time or even follow up immediately after. So this is a way for us to send to our client, hey, look at all of the wonderful photos that we took and shared through our stories, but also those that other people shared, right? So I can send the link to this highlight to them, and they can just go through and enjoy their work afterwards. And then we also, of course, have analytics. How many views? What were the more popular things that were viewed here? Oh, shoot. I thought I was sharing. Sorry about that. Let's go back. Dang it. All right. So your profile, your heading, your highlight graphics, sorry about that. And then here, this was 2021. So we shared when other people shared when we reposted somebody else's story that tagged us, we wanted our client to be able to see all the things that we shared, as well as how other people utilize and how we focused on the things that they really wanted us to focus on. So I'll let that run through since I was just talking without it happening. So thank God for ginger tea. Okay. All right. So in your Instagramming, you want to make sure that you're creating your profile image. I like having the profile image be similar to our highlight image, but I also like when people use the image to, this would say food, music, entertainment, or something else like that. I'm actually having somebody create them for Eat 36th Street North. So we'll be able to, I'm gonna have one that says eat, and then, or no, food, truck, North Tulsa, and community, so that when we have stories that we can then share, we can add those to those highlights. Yeah. So you want your profile image, your name, your handle. You want to have a short bio and then a link to where people can find you. Yeah. It's interesting when you look at, this is all usually pretty real-time stuff. I'm focusing on our clients and the work that we do for different clients. There's my standard photo. And anything else that we're personally working on as a project, or even some that we support. But yeah, you can kind of see those. If you want to focus on how the grid looks, which I absolutely think is valuable to do, I don't do it as much, but we're probably planning on doing it more for Eat 36th Street North, is having more of a grid design so that our images look good, because we're starting to put our Instagram feed on our website. So we definitely want it to look a little bit more presentable, with the exception, because most of the time you see your Instagram post just in your feed and you're not really worried about going to someone's page. And I see where Instagram and Facebook are starting to even not show grids for certain accounts, especially if the account is private. But it looks like even accounts that are not private, they're not showing you unless you all are connected mutually. So, all right. I think that is good on copywriting and captioning. All right. All right. So your assignment between now and, I think it's due on Sunday, so before spring break, technically. Let's make sure it is live. Here's this one, where to find content for social media. This is actually a video that I recorded in my backyard in 2020. You can watch this with me rambling if you want, but this is your assignment for before we meet again, is to go out and create some content, record a video about your client, about your project, and then you'll upload it here. You don't have to make it public. But I want you to talk about it as if you were there. So if you were at the food truck park, or you could utilize, you can just come out and say, hey, I really want to be at this place, or you can do a screen share. I'd love for it to be your face. It doesn't have to be. You can show a video of where you want to go and then voice over it, and then upload it. So you can watch this. It's not very long video, and then you'll create your own piece of content. I said 9 seconds to 60 seconds because, again, we want you want to know which platforms that you can put it on, and you don't have to worry about that while you're creating the content. We'll worry about that once you do. Once you've created it in whatever format, whether you're focusing this way or this way, there's places where that content can go. Right? I remember we all used to just absolutely hate when we saw people recording video this way, because we were like, turn it horizontal. And now Snapchat basically said, no, everything's going to be recorded this way. And then everybody kind of followed suit. So now it's the norm. And then platforms are now starting to adjust, right? So very interesting. information. All right, I think that's all I have for you. Again, apologies for our technical issues, but I will upload this and then I'll add a place for you to add your Instagram. I'm not going to grade your Instagram account. It should have a picture of you, but it's not going to be graded. I just want to use that if you want to be tagged in any posts that we share of yours. All right. Okay. It's actually the actual time for our class to end. So I'm going to end it here, and you all have a wonderful weekend and spring break, and I will see you soon.